Hey, Raj, how are you? Can you hear me?
I can. Good to see you. How are you? Long time.
You're on mute.
Can you hear me?
Oh, wait. It's my fault. I'm on mute. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can. I can.
There we
Good
go. Good seeing you. Hey, Matt, thanks for joining. How are you?
Pretty good, Ketan. How about you? Everybody's staying warm?
Yeah. I mean, you know what? I'm looking forward to the 2 days of break, as I would call it. So
Oh,
I
okay.
think it's a break. For us, it's a break, right? So we don't have to go anywhere. We don't have to do anything. So it's nice.
There we go.
What about you? Are you, I guess work is still there, right? Pretty much.
Right. I'm working from, like, this is like real estate side is my part-time. So I'm working from home in IT. So
Yeah.
So
Yep. You guys will be busy, I'm sure. Yeah.
yes, it's gonna keep us more busy. But like I see Raj now the backside big SMU things. Looks like somebody's from Mustang.
He actually did his MBA from it. I'll let him talk. I'm gonna put myself on mute.
Whoever is talking there on mute. Hi, Ketan. Sorry, man.
Nope, sorry, I can hear you guys. Sorry about that. Yeah. Hey, Anil, thanks for joining. Venkat, thank you, sir.
Hey, Ketan.
Yeah. How are you guys? Good. We're gonna give everybody a few minutes. I'm gonna actually send a quick note back out to the group real quick to let them know that I just opened up the bridge. So give me 1 second, guys. All right, how's everyone doing? I see a couple other people join. Alpa, thank you. And Srinivas, thank you for joining as well. And if you guys, you're more than welcome to put your videos on. You don't have to. This is not the real estate marketing boot camp, so it's not a requirement. But it's nice. It is a forum, so we do like to kind of see who we're talking to and just kind of get that engagement in, but not required at all. In fact, I'm going to step away just for a second again. I am back. We have about 10 participants. Neeraj, thank you. Suresh, thank you, sir. Kiran, thank you, sir. And I got your note as well. Kiran, I got your note, so thank you for that. I'll join. So really appreciate that. All right, let's go ahead and get started. As you guys know, what we try to do is we now call it Weekly Wednesdays. And basically what it is every week, every Wednesday, we're going to have one of maybe 3 or 4 different types of training that we do and so forth. Whether it's the real estate marketing bootcamp, which is usually a 45-minute training session that focuses on just a lot of different aspects of real estate, best practices, things like that. The other thing that we do is broker Q&A. whether it's myself, Ram and Praveen, or Rachel, Ram, whatever, we usually have those. We're trying to do those maybe once a month, once every 3 or 4 weeks. The third thing that we're going to do is we're going to have guest speakers, which we've been doing over the past couple of weeks as well. We had a CPA, of course, last time. We had a quick guest speaker last week with Will with Capital Title. So that's one of the things we want to continue doing, is to continue to kind of be, relevant in your real estate business, right? And, it goes back to, for me, it really goes back to how I started real estate. I did real estate part-time. So I could never, ever join the training sessions that my brokerage did. And one of the main reasons I couldn't do it was because their training sessions were usually between 9 o'clock and 12 o'clock, or 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock, which means I was usually at work. So it was always a challenge for me to join. And so one of the things that we, even for myself, from Can-Am Realty Group to today, one thing that we've done is all of our training sessions are right after work, 5:30, and we try to keep them to an hour. Sometimes when we do the new agent orientations, those are 3 hour long. And so, it just, it allows, what we hope for is the new dynamic of real estate, which is real estate agents, licensees doing real estate part-time while they continue to work full-time, right? So we have to be able to accommodate those real estate licensees in the long term. So that's kind of what we do, and that's how we're doing it. Now, I got a question for you guys. Do you want me to cover the topics, or do you guys want to start with asking questions? I'm okay either way. I do have a couple of topics we're going to cover. So what I might do is I might start with one, get you guys engaged. You guys can talk about it. You can talk about other things. And then from there, we just continue going until we hit either 6:15 or 6:30, whichever one comes first. All right. First, does anybody have a question? You can put it in chat, or you can ask, just open up your unmute yourself and ask a question. You're more than welcome to do that. I am going to mute everybody else in the meantime, unless you are wanting to ask a question, then I'll unmute you. Is that fair?
Ketan, I have one question.
All right, there we go.
So this is first time I'm doing the transaction directly with developers. My client signed the contract. What you advise as a real estate agent, I need to keep eye on it. The house is almost 6 to 8 months away from to move in, before we client move in. We already signed the contract, but what are the things I need to keep eye on it in between these 6 to 8 months?
And very, very good question. All right. So when you say developer, you mean a builder, correct?
Yes, that's true.
All right. All right. So what I used to do, and I'll give you a quick 2-minute version of it. So there's several ways of doing this, right? Depending on what your engagement is with your clients, how much input they want. Number one is I always used to review the contract with them. What that used to do for me is, now here's the thing, right? A lot of us cannot be there at the same time that they're going to write up the contract. What I used to do is I used to call the sales rep and say, hey, can you send me or forward me the contract so I can review it beforehand? And if I need to, I'll review it with my buyers beforehand. Or alternatively, when you send it, you get your signatures, because today's market, you have to do things pretty much right away. So in that case, what I would suggest is let your buyers know, hey, let's go ahead and review it after the builder sends it over, or, right after he reviews it with you, whether he or she reviews it with you or not. The couple of things on the contract that I always go over is timelines, right? And we've learned that over the past 2 years, that there's limited relevance to the construction timelines today. If you look at all of the builder contracts, they tell you that. In other words, the house could be done in 6 months, it could be done in 2 years, and it's all based on availability, labor, shortages, weather conditions, acts of God, right? So that's one thing I always talk to them about. I go over the options that they've selected, make sure that they know what they've selected. and make sure that those are the right ones. Always go over the lot, okay? What I mean by going over the lot is when you see a piece of paper with a plan on it, right? You see it's either a garage left or a garage right. Now, a lot of times, now I think buyers are more educated, but what used to happen is they see what's on paper and they think that is the exact placement of their home. So one of the most important things you want to make sure and clarify is this going to be a mirror swing, or is it going to be the identical swing? Meaning, is it going to be the same exact way it's on paper, or is it going to be the opposite direction, right? The mirror version of it. Those are a couple of things you want to make sure of. Timelines wise, some builders will want the pre-approval within 5 days. Make sure your buyers understand that and put that on paper, or if they need to submit something with the builder, especially like, for example, a pre-approval letter that they need to do online. That's one of the most important things. You don't want to have your buyers come back to you and say, hey, why do I just get a cancellation on my contract? And as you go dig through it, you realize that the builder has canceled them because they haven't applied for their loan. You see what I'm saying? Little things like that will make a big difference. You being the realtor just needs to be aware of it. That's all it is. And then, of course, I used to visit with my buyers during the design center. And then I also have 2 other meetings that I do with them. I do a pre-construction meeting, actually 3 other meetings, I should say. Pre-construction meeting, as well as a pre-drywall meeting, and then a closing walkthrough. The reason I do these things, I know the market has shifted a lot. And obviously, when you're giving back, 75% of your commission or whatever it is, you just don't have the bandwidth, to do those things. And I understand that. But at the same time, for me, it wasn't, most of my clients didn't come to me because of the discounts. They came to me because of the service that I provided. It's the combination that was with service and value that I provide that went a long way. Even to this day, I still get buyers calling me. I just tell them I just don't do it anymore. But, so that's, I know it took a lot more time than expected. Did that answer your question? Maybe?
It did, Ketan. Thank you very much.
Good. All right. So any other questions before I go on to some of the stuff that we want to talk about? You guys, this is your forum, right? So I don't mind answering the questions, but I do prefer that you guys ask questions as well.
Hey, Ketan, this is the Venkat.
Hey,
You
Venkat.
answered, this question, but it might be helpful for others also. This question is regarding, on a contract, we keep a buyer name, and buyer intention is later he want to change his name to some LLC. So you said, I think we had a discussion, and what is some agents are keeping in a contract the person name along with the to be done LLC or endorse LLC, and later, in between before closing, they're changing the name to the LLC name.
Yeah.
And it looks some people after closing, they are changing the deed name. So what is the best one, and how?
Sure. So it's called and/or assigns. As long as the seller is okay with that language, you put it on the first page of the contract under the buyer information. You put it in as and/or assigns, basically. What it is that your only challenge with doing that during the contract. So here's one thing I would suggest that you do is when you're talking to your buyers, if they already know they're going to be putting that under an LLC name, or there's going to be 2 other partners that are joining. Now, keep in mind, anytime you do that, you have to submit what we call the amendment, which is that 1-page document that really outlines a lot of different things within the contract, right? It's got 9 different sections to it. If you do it as an amendment, here's the challenge with that. I'll give you a good example. Let's say it's a investment property, and it's 10 acres over in Gunter, and you and 4 other partners are going to buy this as an investment property. You're going to do Airbnb. You got 10 acres. You can do whatever you want with it. now all of a sudden you get one more partner. So now let's say you're buying it for $800,000, you get one more partner. In the meantime, while you're buying it for $800,000, the seller could potentially have gotten a couple of more offers, because remember, as the listing agent, you have to still disclose any offers you get. They can't accept any other offers if they've already accepted yours. But let's say the minute you change, or you want to change that contract, you submit that amendment, guess what needs to happen to that amendment? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Got it,
needs
yeah.
to be signed. It needs to be signed by both parties, right?
Yep.
So
Got you.
it needs to be signed by both parties. Now, all of a sudden, the seller goes, well, you know what? I had no other offer for 850,000. You guys are at 800,000. I don't mind signing it, but it's going to cost you another $50,000. So you see where the challenge comes in. Does that make sense?
Got
It
it.
doesn't
Yeah.
happen all the time. It rarely happens, but it's all about mitigating your role down the road, right? And so having all of that information, all of it straightened out up front always helps. Now, if you did put and or assigns, you can then assign the contract. That's a little different, but so that's basically what happens there. Does that help?
Yep. And if it is a name
Thank
and after the closing, can we change the deed name? Is it very, I mean, it is easy?
Yeah. So yeah. So the changing of the deed requires an attorney, right? And some attorneys may do it for a couple $100, some may do it for $500. The only thing is that if you have a loan on that note, the lender
Got
could
you.
claim it as due and payable immediately. Does that make sense?
Got you.
So in
Yeah.
other words, the minute you change, right, let's say it's under you and your wife's name, and then, your brother and his wife wants to be partners with you guys, right? Now
Mhm.
you're wanting to add them to the deed, but now you're changing the deed, which means the lender could come back and say, well, I don't know who these people are, right? And
Yeah.
they could technically come back and say it's due and payable. Doesn't happen all the time, rarely happens, but or you can put it on an LLC and they could do the same thing.
Got you.
Does that make sense? But
Yep.
at the same time, changing the deed is really the reason people don't do it is because of the cost, right? And the reason it's because of the cost is because they don't know if it's going to cost you $500 is going to cost you $1,200, right? So they rather have it done, within the contract, because it's at that point it's free, whereas doing it outside of the contract, it's going to cost you.
So, but title insurance will be on a buyer name, right? Not LLC name. So that will be changed.
No, so the title insurance. So once the deed is recorded, you don't necessarily need a new title policy anyway, right? It's just
Got you.
changing out the deed. Yeah,
Got
yeah,
you.
you're
Thank you.
just changing the deed out so somebody can. Yeah, and because then when you go sell it 5 years down the road, they're gonna see that it was changed out only by deed. That's it.
Got you.
Make sense?
Yep. Thank you.
Hey, Ketan, quick question.
Yeah.
Just to clarify on what you guys were just talking about. So if, let's say, if I have an investor that's buying a house and he is unsure of either, so like, let's just say him and person A and person B are buying a house together, and they're unsure if they want to switch to an LLC or they want to buy it in their name. So are you saying if that's a scenario and they may have a potentially down the line may want to switch that to an LLC, it's better to on the 1-to-4 contract write it with their names and or the LLC name?
No,
Is-
and or assigns. So not, that way it allows you, but it only allows you to sign within the contract itself, not after the fact. Does that make sense? So here's the only thing is the general population, meaning the general population of realtors that are out there today, they may not understand and or assigns, right? So they're not comfortable with that language. So you're gonna have that pushback from other realtors saying, hey, wait a minute, I don't know what this means. I don't want to deal with it. It's either buyers or it's sellers, and that's it, right? So that's where that challenge comes in if it does come in. So that's the only difference in that. Does that make sense? But you can't do it after the fact.
Okay, got it.
And honestly, I wouldn't use and/or assigns unless your buyer told you that we have a LLC that's coming in. It's about 30 days, not even 30 days, because that's within the contract, outside of contract, within 15 days. Then you can at least, when you submit the offer, saying to the sellers or the listing agent, saying, hey, they have a they have an LLC that's going to be taking over, and that's why we're putting this in there. So that way, at least that communication's already up front. And what it does is it alleviates the amendment process that we talked about, because the minute you go to the amendment, the seller may not agree to it.
Right.
So now now the only difference is now you just have to pay for a deed down the road. That's it.
Right. So if they have an LLC and they're unsure if they want to switch to it, it's leave that door open. To leave that door open, it's best to put their names and or the LLC name.
Yeah, or do it after the fact. Do it after closing.
Right, but then you said that there's all the cost that which is going to be unsure.
Yeah. So if let's say the seller comes back and says, no, I don't want to do this, then just be aware that the only way you can do it now is after closing.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah. And that's going to cost the buyers a little bit of money, but at least it's done.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
No worries. Any other questions? I mean, we can continue asking questions, and I love that. And I can go over some of the stuff that we have on our stuff. All right, you guys good?
Hey,
So
Ketan,
let
one
me-
quick question. Where we can find these recordings on a portal? I see like a old version of the these
Yeah,
recordings. I don't see.
No, let me work with Alexa on that and we do have some of the recordings. They're on YouTube. And honestly, if you ask me where it is on YouTube, I would tell you I have no clue, because I know where it is. Let me see if we can, what,
Yeah.
let's do that.
I know that link. I can share that link in a group.
Yeah, share that link real quick, and we'll go over it real quick. Do you have it? Do you have the link?
Yeah, I'm finding. I will post it.
Okay. Yeah. If you can post it, that would be great. And I can just pull it up it is on Back Agent. You know what? Let's just go on Back Agent real quick. Let's see here. Okay. Give me a second. I don't even know which ones we still have out there. I mean, we did update quite a few of them a couple of months back. We still have a few that we need to. So let's hope this comes through for a minute. Let me see what we have on my pad. Okay, should come up.
Yeah, I posted on WhatsApp group that YouTube link.
So it is in Office. If it's in Office posts, and let's see here. There's a few on the YouTube channel, and then of course we have some on Loom. So again, you can go into our Office posts. There is tutorials on Loom. As you can see, Rachel's already been updating them quite a bit on here. And then of course we have, we got more than 4 on, we got about 5 out there right now. We got Real Estate Marketing Bootcamp Day 5, Timelines, Agent Branding, First Client Communications, New Agent Orientation. Oh, we got more. Steps to Landing Your Own. So we got about 8 out there right now. As I know so we do this, and you can tell we've done this about 6 months ago. We need to go back in and add a few more to our videos. So anytime you just need a recap of some of these meetings, we do need to add the ones from the last 3 months that we've done. We just haven't added them. So we need to add them. But in the meantime, they're either here in our Office posts under videos to subscribe to your YouTube channel, or view more tutorials on Loom. So that's where they are. Does that help?
Yep, thank you.
Okay, awesome. All right. Any other questions? So a couple of things we want to talk about today. And hang on, let me get my notes up real quick. All right. So I'm going to show everyone quick ways of just a little bit of research on the MLS. You know, when you have your first client, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're engaging your client, right? And so one of the first things your client's going to ask you for is they're going to say, all right, and I'm going to put it on my chat here, so hopefully you guys can see it. Okay, find me a house. All right, that's usually how it works. House under one, let's do 800,000. Frisco, 3,500 square feet and less than 10 years old, right? So that's the first step, right? When they do that, you are going to go into your MLS, okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to set up what we call a autosave. Now, one thing I want you guys to do is if you have not done this, it is highly recommended that we do that. And that is always view your helpful information links, okay? They're actually everywhere. And what I've done today is I'm actually showing you guys all three accounts. Here's my Netris. Netris is the North Texas Real Estate Information Systems. Here's ABOR, because we have a few people that are here today with Austin Access. So I'm showing you Austin, and of course we got HAR as well. And if you notice one thing about all three of these platforms, they are all by CoreLogic. CoreLogic is the basis of all three of these. I believe this is Clarity is CoreLogic as well. So Austin is CoreLogic, Matrix is CoreLogic, and of course HAR is CoreLogic. I'm going to do it with the Netris system, but it runs the exact same way on all three of the systems. All right, so I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about here. So now let's go back into my matrix. In here, actually, let's do search single family. I'm going to do it in Houston real quickly. Now, keep in mind, you have your statuses, right? You have your price point. So we're going to do under 800,000. It tells me there's still 5,000 matches that add up. I'm going to do 3,500 square feet. And let's see, that still gives me 589 matches that add up. So let's do 2018 and newer. All right, gives me down, and if you notice what I'm talking about is down here, it's 148 matches that add up. Give me a neighborhood that's in Houston. That's, let's see, Galveston. How's that? All right, let's do Galveston, and that gives me down to, I know that's not 148. 0. Okay. Well, that's, of course, that makes sense because there's not going to be anything. That's 2018. Which one?
Friendswood.
Friendswood. Let's do Friendswood. Yep. I'm familiar with Friendswood. So let's do that. And that gets me up to, it's got to be more than that. No, Friendswood's a little bit older too.
Okay.
Doesn't Houston let you do directional searches? Can we just do like maybe a direction, see if that brings it down?
Cypress.
Cypress, yeah, that should, Cypress, right? Not just Cypress. No,
Bridgeland, Cypress.
Oh, there we go. 20. Something came up. Yep. Something came up. So now we got 20 searches. You can click on your results, right? And remember, this works the same exact way for all of these. All right. In other words, what I mean by all of these, I'm going to show you how it works on Matrix. It does the exact same thing on Matrix. Okay. Obviously, I'm going to eliminate, because I want only the active homes to show up. I'm going to do under 800,000. I'm going to do, did we say Frisco? And we said 3,500 square feet. Here's what I want you guys to remember is as this link comes up, I'm actually only pulling 2 houses. In this case, I'm only pulling 2 houses. I don't even need to pull in 2018 or 2010. Two houses is just not enough on my list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, even though my buyer said pull under 3,500 square feet, what does it tell you? the market is it's too limited to pull that criteria. So we got to adjust somewhere, right? Either he's going to adjust the price, he or she is going to adjust the price, or they're going to adjust the square footage. I'm not even working with the age of the home anymore. 850. All right. So let's go back down to 850. That gives me 10. Okay. It's good enough to work with. Now, the only thing I did not do is the property type. So I bring it down to single family. Now I got my results. All right. Click on results here. I'm going to add all of these in. I'm going to click on, there's two things you need to do. Number one, you need to save this list and send this list to your clients, right? So you can go ahead and just email the list, send in all the information, and then click on send. That's number one. Number two is once you've done that, you need to save this list, create a new auto email, and then submit this. I'm not going to go through this because this is one of the things we do go over in our new agent orientation. I do want to talk more about a couple of things as it relates to once you've done the list and all that stuff. A couple of questions came up and, well, now that I have the list, they are now going to tell you, I want to see, let's go through this real quick. I want to see Snyder and Guadalupe. Okay. So I want to see Snyder and Guadalupe. All right. So now that's a text that comes back to you. You know, you've already sent them the list. So now you're going to do that same search, right? And keep in mind, you have this search available to you because you just ran it. So remember your research searches. It's always going to be there. It's actually going to pull, if I'm not mistaken, all the way through to, I think it's about 30 searches that come up and show up. So now that I have it, I'm going to go ahead and rerun it. I have that. I know the ones they want to see, Snyder and Guadalupe, because that's the next step for you guys. You got to ask them, hey, what houses do you want to go see? What I want to show you guys is what do you do next? Okay, now that you have it, you need to schedule an appointment on this property. More than likely, it's one of two ways, right? And in this case, when you look in here, it says showing. One thing I want you guys to be familiar with is, and we've talked about this before, and I'm going to kind of tell you guys again, memorize your listing information, okay? What I mean by that is become, and I don't mean memorizing it, but what I mean is become familiar with every category that's on this MLS link. Okay, the more you become familiar with the data that's available to you, the more knowledge you will have to then present to your buyers. Okay, so now you know that the showing here shows showing time CSS. All right, and when it says showing time CSS, one of the other things you want to do is click on all of these things right here. This right here is your history. This is your transaction desk. This is where you pull all of the what do you call it? The documents and so forth that comes out of the contract. I mean, comes out of the MLS, right? Or even comes out of the MLS listings, for example. It's not pulling it right now, but this will get you like your seller's disclosure and your survey, more than likely. All right. So this is where you pull that information, get those signatures for your buyers. You have your tax record. So you know exactly who the sellers are. So when you submit the offer, you know how to write up the offer based on the seller. You can also get that information from the tax records from the county districts. I want you guys to become familiar with this. Here is that important little link. It says schedule a showing. This is where you click on schedule a showing. And you're gonna go ahead and put the information, and let me move this out of the way, all the way up. And it says schedule a single showing. So that's me. I'm gonna go ahead and it's accepting overlapping appointments. So you schedule a single showing, and then you just go in here and submit your request. Okay. That is one thing I wanted to show you guys, only because it was a missing link for a lot of us on where do I go once I have, you know, the property's ready to go. So I wanted to make sure you guys knew that piece of it. Give me a second. Let me make sure I covered everything else on there. So that is, now keep in mind the MLS instructions. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. But you remember showing time is, I'm going to make sure it's also on ABOR, because I believe ABOR uses showing time as well. So let's try that. Give me a second, guys. Let's do this with ABOR as well.
Ketan, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. Who's this?
This is Deepak here. So that
Yeah,
you
hey,
just
Deepak, yeah.
you just showed me that the document part. Can you just show me that document? There is only that small because I was trying to find a document of one property, but I couldn't get.
Sure. So Deepak, you're ABOR, right? So let's do it on ABOR.
No,
You're good?
Abor I can find out. I was looking in here only, the Dallas area.
Oh, okay. So you want to look at a matrix. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So this right here, the transaction desk view documents, click on that. Okay. So transaction desk is where you will find the documents. And here's your here's your seller.
Okay.
Are you seeing it?
Let me log in into that and try to see that, because there is some another transaction desk. It opens, then it opens like email and everything. What is
Yeah.
that?
So no. So here's sure. The reason why when you open transaction desk and nothing comes up, that means that the listing agent has not uploaded the documents.
Oh.
Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah. So I
Okay.
know what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah. So when you click on transaction desk and nothing comes up, or this other transaction desk, yeah, that just means that the listing agent hasn't done. He hasn't uploaded. They haven't uploaded. Like this one right here. This is what you would normally see. It just that's the upload version, and there's nothing there. This is what you normally see. Okay.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, this is what you're going to see, and that
Yes.
just means that they haven't uploaded anything in there.
I see.
However, the transaction desk here is the main one. Okay, it's transaction, and it tells you transaction desk view documents. All right. So homework for everybody is to make sure that you are not only familiar with each one of these links that are here. You know your pictures are here. You know all your details are here, and a lot of times, always read this part. Okay, it tells you reach out to Ali with questions or offers. Okay, so that way you're not reaching out to the Tanya Peak, because she doesn't want the information. Ali wants the information. So just remember those things. Your open house, public, February 5th from 1 to 3 p.m. And again, call Showing Time CSS. It even gives you the phone number to call. If you are a first-time agent and you're not familiar, so once you are familiar with this MLS, you'll notice that most agents that do this the right way will always put in Showing Time CSS and the phone number. I do it on every one of my listings. So the reason is because I know there's going to be new agents out there every day, and I want to make sure that they understand that when you're going to make an appointment, you're going to go through. The first time, I would strongly suggest you set up your appointment through the Showing Time CSS number, basically. All right. Any questions on this? Follows the same guidelines on ABOR. It does the exact same thing on HAR. All right. I wanted to show this because the only reason is because we wanted to make sure that you guys have that hands-on experience of how to do these things when the time comes, more than anything else. Let me check. Let's see, agent best practices, pulling tax details. We did that. Now, one more thing that I wanted to kind of make sure is if you're, and you'll get this a lot, your clients will send you a Zillow link for a property. Always remember to cross-check it against the MLS. Okay. Yeah. So let me just put this in here. Cross-check against MLS. Any Zillow homes, right? The reason is you don't want to use Zillow as your source. You want to use the MLS as your source. All right. That's going to be extremely important. When you do, if you are working with a Zillow agent or anybody else, your scheduling and everything else, make sure that you disclose that you are a licensee. All right, that is part of your NAR code of ethics as well. So, we want to make sure that you guys are educated in communicating, whether it's with, and especially for agents, right? I mean, for potential new clients. Couple of questions that you can ask is, hey, are you working with another realtor? Because you don't want to infringe on somebody else's client. Somebody else who's the agent, right? In other words, if somebody's already working with somebody, if they're going to do that to them, they're going to do that to you. So just kind of be smart about it. always remember that the IABS is extremely important. Day one, you just submitted, have it in your email signatures or whatnot. Two more things I want to show you guys. Let's see, where did I put it? All right. I am, after the call today, I am going to send this over. And the reason is because we had a couple of instances where, let's say, for example, an amendment it doesn't reach the title company, or an amendment doesn't reach the title company or the lender, for example. And especially when we're talking about amendments that's got $1,000 tied to it or $5,000 tied to it. This right here is something that I send out. I've been sending this out to all of my buyers after we get the executed contract. And I'm going to put somebody on mute. Davey, I'm going to put you on mute. There we go. No worries. No worries. All right. So this right here is in our resource documents. It's basically goes over, and I want to make sure. So I have this as my subject line. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Right here. Okay, so this is in my subject line itself. It is, next steps for buyers, please read, goes over what the next steps of the contract are. Okay, it kind of tells you what to do next, the lender process. All right, and I try to update this every few months just to make sure it's consistent with the market. Right, and I'll give you an example. Lender process. 5 years ago, this number right here used to be 5 to 7 days. The reason is because you had 21 days on your financing. Now, guess what? You have 10 days or 12 days on your financing. So what did I end up doing? I tightened those days to 1 to 3 days. What I'm telling my buyer here is that, hey, make sure that you get your lender in place within the first 1 to 3 days of the contract. Insurance process, minimum 10 days prior to closing, meaning that I want to make sure that you are you're aware that you need to get insurance. A lot of times we've had this happen recently with a cash transaction. Title company is not telling them they need insurance. Nobody's telling them they need insurance. Luckily I had sent this over, and within like last 2 days of the contract or within closing, they're looking at it and go, oh my gosh, I just realized I need insurance on the house. So things like that. So this is a great template for you guys to have. And what it does is it puts some of the tasks back on the buyers, like right here, follow up with the lender on appraisal, underwriting, making sure to obtain the loan approval. If so, please make sure you have completed the option period and all that stuff. There's one more place that I want to make sure.
Another quick question. On your, on the financing bit, right? So typically, yours used to put on the third-party financing agreement, 14 days for financing to get out of the contract, right? What are you using? So, now you're saying that, obviously we need a pre-approval letter to go into it. So 10 days?
Yeah, 10 or 12 days, because unless you want to build in the time for the appraisal. Yeah, into the appraisal, meaning that if, let's say, for example, if you put in 14 days, you've done the waiver of the appraisal, right? So here's a trick that you have to be extremely efficient with. And it's not really a trick. It's easy to do as long as all the items fit in place. And that is, you do a financing addendum for 15 days, as long as the seller, the listing agent allows it. Then what you do is you tell your buyers that, hey, we're going to go ahead and, either waive appraisal or whatever. But the thing is that, let me think. Yeah, it's a trick, but the most important thing.
Yeah, basically what you're saying is, just in case of you submitted, box 1 on the appraisal addendum waiver, if the appraisal goes, sideways, then you can basically use that as an opportunity. I've had to do that once, and
it's not the right way of doing things, but it's out there if you wanted to use it. But that means your buyers have to be absolutely certain they are moving forward. They have their lender in place. They've done everything to the point where you're going to bypass any option period, technically, because now you're going straight to ordering that appraisal day 2 of the contract. and getting that appraisal done right away. And then you could use the financing contingency for that piece, technically. But
Okay.
again, yeah, it's
That's
not
fine.
something that it's not something I would encourage at the end of the day. Okay, but it's a loophole. It's a loophole in the system.
Yeah, Deepak here. So regarding that appraisal, basically we put generally like 14 days or like we need to first check with the title company regarding the availability of appraiser or how we should write down.
No, title company doesn't have anything to do with the appraisals. The lender does. So whoever the lender is, you got to make sure that the lender can order the appraisal day number 2 and return the appraisal day number 5 or 7.
Oh, okay, so first I should check with the lender before I submit my offer.
Yeah, something like that, especially if you're doing an appraisal waiver. Here's the best way. I mean, if your buyer's gonna be paying extra for it anyway, the reason they're paying for it is because they want the house, right? So none of what we're talking about here is relevant in that case. I mean, unless, we're thinking the home is gonna appraise for 100,000 less than what it's priced for, right? That's the only challenge. Yeah, and even then, it's not something that's recommended at all. Make sense?
Yeah, but generally in current market, I think we have to waive off everything actually, probably except the option period, right?
Yeah, I mean, in a market like today, you're gonna do, if it's a $500,000 house or a $750,000 house, I definitely suggest option of $750 to $1,000. Option period maybe 3 to 5 days at the most. Financing period 10 days and the appraisal waiver, and that is a clean contract today, and no home warranty, and buyer paying for title policy. You see what I'm saying? But then all of those have to be slam dunk on the buyer side. And it's our responsibility to make sure you communicate when you're talking about these appraisal waivers that what it exactly means, right? So make sure that your buyers understand by waiving the appraisal, this is what it means, So the good thing is a lot of buyers are super knowledgeable. So they already know that, hey, I know I have to do this to get the house.
And the other thing regarding that title insurance, there is another thing there, like a deficiency in the title. What is that actually? And then we say buyer to pay or seller to pay.
Yeah, so that is, and we'll talk more about that in the new agent orientation. But it's basically just it's the what is it called? The limitations in the boundary of a survey, or if there's any almost like technically a dispute within the disputes or shortage, and not disputes, sorry, shortages in the boundary is what it's called. Basically what that means is that you're getting an additional endorsement. The title policy is adding an endorsement that's going to cost the buyers or the sellers 5% of the title policy premium. So if the title policy is $1,000, it's going to cost them $50. If the title policy is $2,000, it's going to cost you $100. But it's an additional endorsement, or what we call protection against any deficiencies. Sorry, not deficiencies, shortages in the boundary. Okay, and we'll talk about that more. Yeah, no worries. We'll talk more about that in the new agent orientation when we do that one. All right. Let's see. We talked about, so representation is extremely important when and one of the things you want to make sure is, especially when you're working with other realtors, remember, you represent your buyer. That means that ultimately the advice you give is yours and not someone else's. All right. And that advice needs to come from you more based on the knowledge that you have. But if you don't have knowledge, then go on the MLS and do those researches. That's how I learned. I spend days and hours just going on the MLS, doing all the research that I needed to do. And I'm obviously not expecting you guys to do the same thing, but getting that knowledge is going to be so much more important than anything else.
Ketan, one quick question. So basically, Austin is a little bit growing faster. So the prices on MLS, they are saying like 600 sold, right? The next house, they are putting it as 700. But when we are comparing with 600, right? When we put the offer for 600, by the time we go, they are saying like they got a better offer and the house is under contract. So how to convince a buyer like it's not just 600 now, it may be like 700?
So let me show you something real quick. I don't think I have it set up on my Austin link, but
No,
we can
anywhere
try-
is fine. Yeah.
all right, give me, let's see, let's do under 800,000 in Cedar Park, right? And Cedar Park has, what's that subdivision in Cedar Park that's popular? What am I looking for? Do you remember?
Williamson County.
No, but what's the subdivision?
Mayfield.
Subdivision.
Mayfield.
Brushy
Uh,
Creek.
Which one?
Brushy
Treviso?
Creek?
Treviso, is that in Cedar Park?
Leander.
No, Brushy,
That is
Brushy Creek,
Leander.
Brushy Creek, that's right, Brushy Creek, Brushy Creek. All right, so here we go. Let's do Brushy Creek. Oh, wow, only one house. That doesn't help me. Okay, let me see what we got. All right, so let's do this. So that puts me at, look at that, it puts me at 72 houses. That is crazy. Okay, so 72 houses, that's still a lot for me to go through. Okay, well, let's just do it. Let's see what happens. Give me a second. I am gonna, all right, I don't have the details, so let's just pull it up now, since we got everybody on here. I'm gonna show you guys a couple of things. Oh, it does, okay. So let's see here, let's go based on status. And keep in mind, so one thing I want you guys to remember is, actually, I'm gonna ask you guys this question. The statuses are now changing. What is sold now called? Does anybody know? Put it in the chat if you know. They're not using sold anymore, and that goes across the board for at least Dallas and Austin, and maybe even Houston. But the word they're using now is, thank you.
Closed.
Yep, closed it is. Yep. Thank you, Deepak. So that is the next version of Netris and the next version of HAR will have the status change to close. And that applies to both leased properties and sold properties. All right. So let's take a look at here, right? So if you look at this, let me update this real quick. Yeah, 300 is fine. All right. So you see here list price and close price, right? So who was that was telling me? That was Deepak, right? Or was it Anil or Deepak? Anil, right?
Yeah.
All right. So notice one thing in here. You know what? Okay. Yeah. So here's, you see how quickly we did this. Number one is I pulled up Brushy Creek in Cedar Park. You know what? And I can change out some of this other stuff. Actually, you know what I didn't do, which I needed to do is make sure I pick up Cedar Park and not the other cities that have Brushy Creek in them. There you go. You see the difference?
This is
Right.
yeah.
So I knew that and here's the reason why I knew that is because I'm looking at some of the pricing and I noticed it was 300,000 and I was like, okay, that doesn't make any sense, especially not in Brushy Creek. Now keep in mind, how often do I go to Austin? How often do I know the market? But you see how understanding the market is so critical to what you do, right? And if I hadn't changed it, I would have been giving my buyers the wrong information. So here you go. All right. So you notice here on, I'm surprised actually at seeing the numbers because I would have expected the price points to be a lot higher, but 665, it sold for 680, 755 sold for 755, 580 sold for 600, 650 sold for 660. So this is how you know the only one that's really is, yeah, 685 sold for
750. Yeah.
Basically, it depends on the close date. Actually, you are seeing whatever the lean period.
Yeah, but this data you're gonna just print it up, email it or print it either way, and send it over to your client. That way you have the and at the time, hopefully you have information to go by as far as what to do with the data. Does that make sense? I know, hopefully.
Yeah.
Ketan, just one question. Generally, what I do a Zoom call with the client and then I just show it here only, and only sometime I just send it.
Yeah, that's actually very smart, Deepak. That's actually a great idea. You know what I do is I take my iPad with me And this is a great idea for all of you guys. Invest in a little iPad or even any tablet. Doesn't have to be an iPad. Make sure you have internet connection. I do two things nowadays. If I'm showing a house, I bring my iPad into the listing. While they're showing it, I will pull up the details. I'll pull up the MLS, and then I will, a lot of times, if I need to, I'll send an email. I'll send a text right then and there. The reason is so that way I have an immediate response. I can pull up my CMA while we're in the property. And remember, today's environment, especially today's real estate environment, is all about getting that expediency done, meaning how quickly can you provide the results that your buyers are looking for. And technology allows you to do that, and that's extremely important. All right.
I completely agree with that, because whatever deal I have done, I got the feedback from people. Okay, I was very quick to respond actually.
And they see that, and they appreciate that more than anything else. So very good.
Ketan, can you pull this 130 Jackrabbit address?
Yeah, which one?
130 Jackrabbit.
130 Jackrabbit. Jackrabbit. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Let's do one thing. Hang on.
Criteria.
Yeah. Go back into my matrix. Is it one word?
Yeah, Jackrabbit run, space run.
I have seen like generally address, if I put address here, it doesn't work. I don't know.
Yeah, hang on, let's see. It's
in search it will work. Actually,
here we go. Jackrabbit run. So it's 53 days on the market. 330. Okay.
So can you find nearby, like for CMA?
The CMA for nearby homes? Yeah.
Just 1 mile. Put 1 mile near to.
Okay. So yeah. So if you're gonna do,
I have the question for that. Once.
All right. So there's a couple ways of doing that, right? So when you're doing a CMA, in this case, the subdivision is also called Jackrabbit subdivision. I'm still old school. There's a way of doing a cloud CMA on this and stuff like that. I'm not going to do that because I'm not familiar with it. But I'm going to do it my way, which is the old school way of doing things. Okay. So give me a second here. So I'm going to pull up the subdivision. It's called Jackrabbit, right? So I'm going to go back in, click on residential. I know it is Round Rock, right? Okay. So it's Jackrabbit and Round Rock. Pull in all of my information here. All right. It's a single family home. Subdivision is, now keep in mind your wild cards are asterisks. Okay?
One thing, Ketan, can be done, like just put the MLS ID of the other home in the miles off. That is pretty simple.
And so I'm going to show you guys that way too. Give me 1 second. So one thing you notice here is I only pulled up 2 matches. Okay. 2 matches is not enough for me to run any kind of CMA.
Oh, okay. Okay. So like my client. Now click on result.
So here's number 1, which is the active contingent on 130 Jackrabbit. Here's number 2, which is a closed property listed and 720, sold for 710. Let's see here. That was
so
a lot less, 3,500 square feet, but it's also 1.4 acres. Okay.
Correct. So my client was saying this is per square feet $199. So the other one was listed at 600, right? So 650. So he was asking like why we need to pay 650. So why can't we do offer for 400?
Offer for 400 on a 650. Number 1 is the days on the market tells me that this house has been on the market for 3 days. So while your buyer is still thinking about 450 compared to 650, somebody's already willing to offer at least 650, if not more. Does that make sense? House is already under contract.
Right. But the question is like he was saying it is the same community, right? And the same road. So
it's on the same
like
road. And what do we know about market? What do we know about market?
Right. Yeah. How to convince the buyer saying that now it's not the same, because this was closed. The other one was closed actually in January only. It's not that too late too.
Yeah, but I know, yeah, but here's what it is, right? It's how much a seller is willing to sell it for and how much a buyer is willing to buy it for. Now, it could be, here's the other thing is it could be that this house, the one that's on 130 Jackrabbit, might have a better view, right? It could have, no trees or all the trees, right? And it could be completely updated. Whereas the other one, you'd have to go in and look at the details and see what the differences are more than anything else. I'm looking at 1985, 1.4 acres. So acreage wise is the same. Yeah, I mean, it's possible that these guys just sold it for a lot less at the time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was closed in January only. So
I mean, I was going to tell you, 199 a square foot in any part of Austin is ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Right? So,
I think something wrong looks like with the calculation, because if you see area is same, almost same, then price should be almost same actually. Per square foot.
Remember the square footage is
No,
30.
square feet is
Oh,
more.
that. Oh, that. Okay, so basically, no. Then it's in simple. Basically, see, this price is determined based on the living square feet, not on the lot size.
Yeah, it's not based on lot size. It's always based on square footage, and that's another thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, 199 for 1.4 acres. That's pretty good. It's really good.
Yeah. So basically, you need to tell it depends on the livable square feet, not based on the lot.
No, so here this 106 Jackrabbit, right? It is 3564, whereas the other one is only just 1900.
Yeah, exactly. So smaller home will have always more price.
This look really beautiful, actually, more than the.
No, it's a nice house. I'm just trying to see where the 3,500 square feet is. Yeah, it could be 3,500 square feet. But there's no way of knowing. Somebody probably.
Somebody was lucky, actually. Yeah.
Somebody paid for the lot.
So the other thing could be, it could be a family thing, and that might have happened. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
And nice glasses, Ketan.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah. All right, guys. Any other questions? I know we're coming up on 6:30, and we want to keep these to 1 hour meetings. I know next week we have, do we have Rachel or Praveen on? I don't remember which one we have next week.
Okay, then just one question. So that email, the email
Sorry,
you are talking about next step to the buyer. So you are going to send it, right?
I am, yes. What I'll do is I am going to go ahead and send both documents, next steps to buyers and next steps to sellers. I'm going to send it to everybody. So that way you guys have it. And I would definitely encourage you guys to read it. Yeah.
And another next step for the new construction booking after that will be again another great document.
So let me, I know Ram's going to do new construction in about 2 weeks again. I got to clean up. So I was able to luckily clean up this one today. So I got a chance to do that. Let me send these two out today, and then I'll send the next steps for new construction. I have a list, and I think Rachel already set up some stuff on our, if I'm not mistaken, I think Rachel may have already set up some stuff here on new construction. It might be in our links section. Oh, here we go. It is there. It's called the new construction guide. Okay. It's there, guys.
Oh, okay.
All right. So make sure, and that goes also for everybody. Make sure you guys are using
I see.
the back agent. Yeah, back agent has a lot of tools out there that that are available. And so new construction guide is out there if you guys ever want to see it.
Oh yeah, I think generally some builders give this guide also actually.
No, these are ones that I created years ago. So this is proprietary to us.
Yeah, but because I know American Legend in Fort Worth, they have pretty nice good.
Yeah, they do. They do a really good job of providing the details of step by step within the contract itself. Yeah. Now this one actually goes over a little bit more though. Okay. So I'll show you what I'm talking about here. It goes over the next steps, the design center, all of that stuff. Okay. The lender process, the design center process, the builder orientation, the construction process, the walkthroughs, and I believe, it's also got the builder plan review meeting, and then the pre-drywall inspection checklist. We've done a couple of these in the past here. What I would do is these are some of the things that if your buyer doesn't get a inspection done for the pre-drywall, if you're familiar enough with construction, you can go look for these things with your buyers. I know we might have a tutorial we've done in the past on this, or a video. I'll see if I can find it. But again, just go through this. We have so much information. You just got to go through it. That's the best way I can explain it. You know.
Hey,
All right,
then,
guys. Yeah.
I got one question, quick question. I had a client that asked me, are we doing property management in Temple, Texas, and also down south near San Marcos and New Braunfels?
Not yet. We're hoping by the mid to next year we'll have something in place. Nishant.
Okay.
We're
What
working
about
on it.
Austin? Are we doing it in Austin?
Same here. Nothing. And the problem is, so you have to understand the property management aspect of real estate is extremely litigious. And what I mean by litigious, and the most violations that realtors / brokers get are under the property management division. So it's just too much of a liability. It's too much of a risk on any broker. So before we actually do that, we want to make sure that when we do want to have, just like what we've done with commercial and everything else that we've done, we are going to get there. We're taking our time because it is so important to, and there's going to be specific requirements when we get to that point. It's going to be training and, experience and mentorship and apprenticeship. So it's something we got to work on. We're working on it.
Got it. Thank you very much. And same with Dallas.
No, we
not
do.
doing?
So we have property management in Dallas. We do have. We've had that for 20 years. Yeah. So reach out to me on that, and I'll go over that with you.
Awesome. Great. One more question, actually. Land-based. So for, there's a tool called visibility, correct? That we can look at gas pipelines, where they're passing through, and water pipelines, which properties they're passing through. Do we have access to that?
Never heard of it. So I just put it on chat. And the reason I put it, I'll take a look at it and see what that is all about.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Thank you.
I know Zach-
I think that's a FEMA situation. They post that online.
Oh,
Oh,
do they?
really?
Okay.
Okay. I'll take a look at it and see what it's all about.
Yeah, I'll send you a screenshot. I just sat in a land hearing, and they were showing it to me live on the screen. So I'll send it over to you.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to see it. Yeah. All right, guys. And option fee again, not 1%, but probably 1%. All right. 0.05 to 0.1%. And then obviously the earnest money at 1% is very fair. All right.
Thank you.
All right. All right.
Yeah,
So
bye.
hopefully, and then one more thing, I have to start doing this. So I am going to share. Remember, guys, that number reaches all of us at the same time. And here's what we're trying to do with this is, if I'm out of town, we want you guys to engage the company. And more than likely, if there's not a response back, let me know, or just shoot a quick text and say, hey. And a lot of times, if you call it in and you don't get an answer immediately, it's more than likely because somebody's already on the other line. That's why. All right. So, and the other thing you can do is just when you call it, follow up with a quick text and say, hey, this is Praveen, or this is Raj, or this is Rakesh, and just had a quick question, please call me back. All right. So that way, because I have all of your numbers saved on my phone, which then translate into the open phone, but not everybody has y'all's number saved yet. So when you put in your number and you let us know who you are, that just helps expedite things. Can we do a class on inspections? Yes, we are. There's a couple of, I'll actually add that one in there. There's actually a couple of other classes somebody had suggested. I think Darshana or somebody had requested a class on land deals. So we're going to do that. We got a class on commercial coming up. Rakesh, I'll add the class on inspections for us. All right. All right, guys. We are 9 minutes over, which is okay, but we're trying to keep it relevant. So that's the most important thing.
Thank you,
Ketan.
Ketan. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Bye. Bye-bye. We'll see
Bye.
you next week. All right.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye, guys.
Bye.